Welcome to Biography with Plutarch, where we delve into the lives of the most fascinating figures in history, exploring their triumphs and tribulations, and uncovering the timeless lessons that their stories impart. Today, we embark on a journey through the life of Galileo Galilei, the renowned Italian astronomer, physicist, and mathematician who would challenge the conventional wisdom of his time and pave the way for a new era of scientific discovery. As we step into the world of 16th century Italy, we find ourselves in a land of rich cultural heritage where the Renaissance is in full bloom. The air is alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and intellectual debate, as some of the most brilliant minds of the time gather to discuss the latest ideas and discoveries. It is here, in the charming city of Pisa, that Galileo was born on February 15, 1564, to Vincenzo Galilei, a musician and mathematician, and Giulia Amanati. The family's modest means belied their rich cultural heritage, with Vincenzo being a member of the Camerata, a group of musicians and intellectuals who sought to revive the musical traditions of ancient Greece. As a young child, Galileo would often sit at his father's feet, listening in awe as Vincenzo played the lute and sang with a voice that seemed to transport him to another world. The sounds of music and laughter filled the Galilei household, creating a warm and nurturing environment that encouraged curiosity and creativity. It was here, surrounded by the beauty of art and music, that Galileo's fascination with the natural world began to take root. He would spend hours watching the artisans and craftsmen of Pisa at work, marveling at their skill and precision as they shaped and molded raw materials into beautiful works of art. Galileo's father, recognizing his son's aptitude for mathematics and science, encouraged him to pursue these interests, providing him with tutors and mentors who could guide his studies. One such mentor was Ostilio Ricci, a mathematician who taught Galileo the principles of geometry and introduced him to the works of Euclid and Archimedes. As they sat together in the warm sunlight, poring over intricate diagrams and complex equations, Galileo's mind began to expand with the endless possibilities of mathematics. He saw the world as a vast, intricate puzzle, waiting to be solved by those with the curiosity and determination to uncover its secrets. As Galileo grew older, his fascination with machines and motion only deepened. He would spend hours watching the water wheels and windmills that dotted the countryside, marveling at their simple yet elegant designs. He saw how the principles of mathematics could be applied to the natural world, how the laws of motion and gravity govern the behavior of objects in the universe. This early fascination with mechanics and engineering would eventually lead Galileo to make groundbreaking contributions to our understanding of the physical world. Galileo's early education took place at the Benedictine monastery of Vallombrosa, where he was sent by his family to study philosophy, mathematics, and medicine. The monastic setting provided a rigorous intellectual environment, with an emphasis on Aristotelian philosophy and the study of classical texts. However, Galileo's fascination with mathematics and science soon led him to question the authority of Aristotle, whose teachings had dominated Western thought for centuries. This early skepticism would become a hallmark of Galileo's approach to knowledge, as he sought to verify theoretical claims through empirical observation and experimentation. As we explore the monastic halls where Galileo spent his formative years, we see the young scholar poring over dusty tomes, searching for answers to the questions that plagued him. We hear the sound of scratching quills on parchment as he meticulously copied out equations and diagrams, seeking to understand the underlying principles of the universe. The musty smell of old books and the faint scent of candle wax fill the air, transporting us to a world of intellectual curiosity and discovery. In 1581, at the age of 17, Galileo enrolled in the University of Pisa to study medicine, following in the footsteps of his father, who had also studied medicine before pursuing a career in music. However, Galileo's true interests lay elsewhere, and he soon found himself drawn to the lectures of the mathematician Filippo Fontoni, who introduced him to the works of Archimedes and other ancient Greek mathematicians. This exposure sparked a passion for mathematics that would stay with Galileo throughout his life, leading him to make significant contributions to the field of physics and astronomy. As we walk through the bustling streets of Pisa, we see Galileo surrounded by the vibrant colors and sounds of university life. We hear the laughter of students, the clanging of hammers on anvils, and the murmur of professors lecturing in hushed tones. The smell of fresh bread wafts through the air, enticing us to follow Galileo as he makes his way through the crowded marketplace, his mind ablaze with the excitement of discovery. As we explore the early years of Galileo's life, we see the emergence of a young man who is both curious and rebellious, driven by a desire to understand the natural world and challenge the conventional wisdom of his time. The historical context of 16th century Italy, with its rich cultural heritage and simmering intellectual ferment, provides a fertile ground for Galileo's growth and development. The seeds of his future greatness are being sown in these formative years, as he begins to develop the skills, knowledge, and character that will ultimately lead him to become one of the most influential scientists in history. As Galileo's fascination with mathematics and science continued to grow, he became increasingly drawn to the study of physics and astronomy like a moth to flame. The year was 1589, and he had just been appointed as a lecturer in mathematics at the University of Pisa, where the sun-kissed hills and cypress trees seemed to stretch up to the sky. There, he taught courses on Euclid's Elements and Aristotelian philosophy, poring over dusty tomes and scribbling notes by candlelight. However, his true passion lay in challenging the conventional wisdom of Aristotle, a behemoth of intellectual tradition that had dominated Western thought for centuries. Galileo's curiosity and skepticism soon led him to develop his own theories about the natural world, like a seedling pushing its way through the cracked earth. As he delved deeper into his research, Galileo began to notice the limitations of Aristotelian philosophy in explaining the workings of the universe. He became fascinated by the concept of motion and the behavior of objects on Earth and in the heavens. For instance, he would use the rolling of balls down inclined planes to demonstrate the principles of acceleration and friction. These simple yet powerful demonstrations sparked a sense of wonder in his students, who began to see the world around them in a new light. One of the most significant events in Galileo's career occurred in 1592, when he was appointed as a professor of mathematics at the University of Padua. This position allowed him to focus on his research and teaching, surrounded by the city's grand architecture and vibrant cultural scene. He quickly became known for his innovative approaches to physics and astronomy, which emphasized observation, experimentation, and mathematical analysis. During this time, he began to develop his theory of motion, which posited that objects in motion tend to maintain their velocity unless acted upon by an external force. This concept, though simple in retrospect, was revolutionary at the time, as it challenged the traditional Aristotelian view of motion as a temporary and fleeting phenomenon. Galileo's work at Padua also brought him into contact with other prominent scholars at the time, including the philosopher and mathematician Paolo Sarpi. Their discussions about the nature of the universe and the role of mathematics in understanding it had a profound impact on Galileo's thought, like a river flowing into the sea. As they strolled through the university's cloisters, debating the finer points of philosophy and science, Galileo began to see the world in a new light. He realized that the universe was not a static and unchanging place, but rather a dynamic and evolving system, governed by laws that could be understood through mathematics and observation. This epiphany was like a key turning in a lock, unlocking a door to a new realm of understanding. As Galileo wrote in a letter to his friend and fellow scholar, Guidobaldo del Monte, "I have come to realize that the universe is not a static and unchanging place, but rather a dynamic and evolving system, governed by laws that can be understood through mathematics and observation." Penned in elegant script on parchment paper, marked a turning point in Galileo's intellectual journey. He was no longer content to simply accept the traditional views of Aristotle. Instead, he sought to challenge and transform them, like an alchemist transmuting base metals into gold. In 1609, Galileo heard about the invention of the telescope in Holland, a land of windmills and canals, where innovation and progress seemed to reign supreme. He quickly set about creating his own improved version, using his knowledge of optics and mathematics to craft an instrument that would allow him to observe the night sky with unprecedented clarity. With his new telescope, he was able to gaze up at the stars like a child gazing up at a wonderland, full of awe and curiosity. He made a number of groundbreaking discoveries, including the observation of 4 moons orbiting Jupiter, like diamonds scattered across the velvet expanse, and the discovery of sunspots, which challenged the traditional view of the sun as a perfect and unblemished sphere. These findings, announced to the world with a sense of excitement and trepidation, challenged the traditional geocentric view of the universe, which placed Earth at the center of the cosmos. Instead, they supported the heliocentric model proposed by Copernicus, like a puzzle piece falling into place. As news of Galileo's discoveries spread, he became a celebrated figure in intellectual circles, and his work was eagerly followed by scholars and scientists across Europe. The scientific community was abuzz with excitement, as if a sleeping giant had awakened from its slumber. In 1610, Galileo published his book, Sidereus Nuncius, Starry Messenger, which presented his observations of the night sky and challenged the conventional wisdom of the time. The book was a huge success, like a stone cast into a pond, sending ripples far and wide. It helped to establish Galileo as one of the leading figures in the scientific revolution of the 17th century, a movement that would transform our understanding of the universe and our place within it. However, not everyone was pleased with Galileo's discoveries and his challenge to traditional authority. The Catholic Church, which had long been the guardian of Aristotelian philosophy, saw Galileo's views as a threat to its own power and influence. As the years went by, Galileo would face increasing opposition and criticism from those who sought to maintain the status quo. Yet, he remained steadfast in his commitment to scientific inquiry and his pursuit of truth, like a ship navigating through treacherous waters. As the years went by, Galileo's confrontation with the Church continued to escalate, like a gathering storm that threatened to engulf him at any moment. In 1660, he was summoned to Rome, the Eternal City, where the imposing grandeur of St. Sembre, Peter's Basilica, and the Vatican's labyrinthine corridors seemed to whisper warnings of the dangers of dissent. The stern-faced cardinals, with their piercing gazes and unyielding convictions, warned him not to defend or teach the Copernican theory, which was deemed heretical by the Church. The air was thick with tension as Galileo stood before them, his passion for truth and his commitment to scientific inquiry burning brighter than ever. However, Galileo's determination to uncover the secrets of the universe led him to continue advocating for the heliocentric model, albeit in a more subtle manner. He spent years poring over ancient texts, observing the celestial bodies, and conducting experiments that would challenge the geocentric view of the universe. His mind was ablaze with curiosity, and he became increasingly convinced that the Copernican theory held the key to understanding the workings of the cosmos. In 1632, Galileo published his book, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, which presented a fictional conversation between 3 characters, Salviati, Sagredo, and Simplicio, discussing the merits of the Ptolemaic and Copernican systems. Although Galileo attempted to present a neutral perspective, the Church saw this as a thinly veiled attack on its authority, and the reaction was swift and severe. The aftermath was a maelstrom of controversy and recrimination. Galileo was put on trial in 1633, found guilty of heresy, and sentenced to house arrest for the remainder of his life. The sentence was a devastating blow, a harsh reminder that the pursuit of knowledge and truth could be a perilous journey. As he stood before the tribunal, Galileo's eyes flashed with defiance, but his spirit was not broken. He knew that his work would live on, even if he himself was silenced. This marked the beginning of a long and difficult period, during which Galileo was forced to renounce his views and live under close surveillance. His daily routine became a monotonous cycle of prayer, study, and quiet contemplation. The once vibrant colors of his life had faded to muted tones, but his mind remained sharp, and he continued to reflect on the nature of the universe. In the stillness of the night, as the stars twinkled like diamonds in the sky, Galileo would often ponder the mysteries of creation, seeking answers to questions that had haunted humanity for centuries. As the years passed, Galileo's health began to decline, and he became increasingly blind. His eyes, once bright with curiosity and wonder, grew dim, but his mind remained a beacon of light, illuminating the path forward for generations to come. Even in the face of adversity, his passion for discovery never wavered. As he once said, "You cannot teach a man anything, you can only help him discover it within himself." These words capture the essence of Galileo's approach to science and his commitment to empowering others through knowledge. Galileo Galilei passed away on January 8, 1642, at the age of 77, in Arcetri, near Florence. The news of his passing sent shockwaves throughout the scientific community, but his legacy lived on, inspiring generations of scientists, philosophers, and thinkers. His contributions to our understanding of the universe, from the laws of motion to the observation of celestial bodies, remain unparalleled. He embodied the Renaissance humanist ideals, which emphasized the potential of human beings to achieve great things through education, reason, and individual effort. His story serves as a powerful reminder that understanding the natural world is a fundamental aspect of the human experience, and that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey. Galileo's impact on modern society is immeasurable. His work laid the foundations for classical mechanics, optics, and astronomy, shaping the course of scientific inquiry for centuries to come. The telescope, which he improved upon, has become an iconic symbol of astronomical discovery, allowing us to explore the vast expanse of the universe. His courage, conviction, and unwavering commitment to the scientific method have inspired countless minds, from Isaac Newton to Albert Einstein, and continue to inspire new generations of scientists, philosophers, and thinkers. By embracing the values of intellectual curiosity, critical thinking, and creative problem-solving that defined Galileo's life, we can unlock the secrets of the universe and create a brighter future for all humanity. That's all for today's biography with Plutarch. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that understanding the lives of remarkable individuals helps us better understand ourselves.